Hello and welcome back to this channel. Today we are in for a treat. I've got you covered with a little bit of everything film related. The setting is the street. The camera is the Nikon F2 with 135mm. The film? I'm glad you asked. We are shooting some Kodak Vision 250D, some Porto 160 and a little bit of black and white as well, finishing the HP5 Plus that I had started before. You know how I love grain, so this HP5 Plus, pushed 2 stops at 1600 ISO, is gonna be messy, let me tell you. The city is Aveiro, also known as the Portuguese Venice. Even though I've never been to Venice, sadly, I can tell you that Aveiro has its beauty for sure. Not a lot of movement in the streets, especially compared to Porto and Lisbon, so the environment and the pacing is a little bit different. A little slower, where I don't constantly feel overwhelmed by information and stimulus. I can't wait for you all to see what I was able to capture. Starting off at the city center near the train station, I grabbed a couple warm-up shots of different compositions of random relations between light and shadow and specific objects and textures. Also started looking at some reflections, since I really like those images with a lot of different abstract layers, with a mix of what is there and what is reflected on the glass, you know? There were some interesting patterns and textures at the train station, and I was immediately drawn to them. Tried composing a few shots using that to my advantage. I like this shot of this isolated man going up the staircase. There is this interesting diagonal movement suggested by all the shadows and the direction of the light. I also really like how contrasty it is, especially the darker areas. I love those deep blacks. Then I snapped this image through a window of a guy smoking while reading something on his phone. I like the chaos with the vertical and diagonal lines from the reflection, mixed with the horizontal lines from the bench. Continuing in the train station, I came across this old lady having some difficulty going up the stairs, with the escalator coming down right next to her. The horizontal lines from the stairs and the reflected stairs as well give it an interesting texture. In the same spot, I took these 2 portraits. I'm not really fond of these ones, they lack story and interest for me, even though I'm kinda fond of the layering.
I've taken some black and white pictures in the morning, but right now I'm shooting some Porto 160 and the weather is nice, so hopefully it's gonna be enjoyable to watch. I usually preset my settings before I take a shot so that I only have to focus on the composition when I'm taking the shot, and that usually is better if you're doing street photography. In this particular shot, for example, it's not the case, but sometimes you really have to be fast, and having to worry with all the settings and the composition just before you take a shot, you have no time to do it all. So
I kept going and was drawn again to the yellow color, specifically the relation between the jacket and the wall in this situation. A tone that will be a kind of a theme in this video. I don't know, there are days when you wake up kinda yellow, you know what I mean? I then found a bridge with some passers-by a little bit higher than me, with these cool looking graffitis painted below. I tried some compositions using that. I don't really like the fact that the lady's face is covered on the first shot, but the second shot I got of the girl laughing at her phone, with a graffiti of this woman sitting in front of her computer, had a nice relation between subjects. Warm tones pair up really good with some cool tones. First, I shot this abandoned blue house with the almost naked tree featuring some of its last yellow leaves. I think it's a pleasant scene to look at. A couple blocks over, I found another composition with a cool and warm tone mix that I really enjoyed. The light was at an angle, making the shadow have a nice presence on this scene. I returned to the train station, but this time with some color film. I instantly found a liking to the tones given to me by the trains and the framing they offered of the people on opposite platforms. So I grabbed a couple of images using this composition as a baseline, finding interesting subjects and the relations between them and the environment. I decided to come a bit closer to the train and go into the next platform. On my way down and up again, I took these two snaps of this woman wearing a black coat. I really like both shots and how they complement each other. The first one has a nice perspective and movement. That carried on to the second one, shot through a gap in the stairs.
I want that frame, but to the other side. Turn your head a bit. Come on, cooperate a bit. Let's go. Can you turn it to the other side? Yep. There's someone behind her. I don't know. Does it work? I guess we'll find out.
Overall, I got nice tones, and this girl with a ponytail is a nice subject for a street scene. Peeking on the inside of the train, I saw this bald man with an amazing facial expression and eerie lighting on his face. I took a quick snap and had no hope at all, since the bright reflection would probably overlap everything else that you could see on the inside. I also underexposed it by a stop at least. This was the result. Kinda eerie, but I love it. The remjet texture is probably a bit too much on this one, and I will maybe remove it before I make some prints in the darkroom. But overall, I like how subtle the image is and its abstract elements from the reflection. I walked back and forth for a couple more minutes, snapping some memories of enjoyable scenes I could find. Looking again at the train reflections, I found probably the shot of the day for me. The curved train windows give this wobbly nature to this image, and the tinted glass those cool-looking tones. Took two shots with slightly different compositions here. I don't really know which I like the best though.
One of the things that I really like about street photography and this kind of photography is that split second that you have. And sometimes, for example, back there with the shot of the reflection of the train that was leaving, it's that split second that I like, and that feeling that, okay, I took the shot, I got it. Usually with other types of photography that I do, you want to take your time, especially with film photography. But this kind of stuff, it trains a little bit of a different thing. It trains you to be fast and to be decisive, and I really like that feeling that you need to nail it, you know, because you only have one shot. You can think of practically every picture that is well known from famous photographers and famous pictures. You can pretty much tell that they only have one shot, and that's it. It's that feeling that I really like. And then there's the other side, which is, well, I missed. That side is usually more present, or it happens more often than not, in my case at least. But the very few times that I can say in my head that, okay, I got it, I nailed it, those times are worth everything else. So. I don't really like the obvious shots. That's why I usually try to find correlations between elements or between a person and a specific element from the scene. There's times where I shoot through glass and through reflections, and that's the unusual angle that people are probably not expecting, and that can give you, or at least can give me, more interesting shots for me, at least. Nice lake here in the middle of the city.
It was getting late, so I circled back towards the city center to grab some dinner before we leave. In my way there, I came across this pretty interesting scene outside a cafe. The cleaning lady was sweeping the floor and had the trash can outside the cafe. Sitting right behind it was this lady with flashy yellow pants, matching the trash can lid. For some reason, I enjoy these funny scenes I come by from time to time. I also like the compositions of these shots. The guy sitting with the lady wasn't that happy once he saw me pointing the camera, probably at his girl's features, but I walked by as he was watching me and he didn't mention anything, so I guess we're cool. My favorite shot of the day though was this portrait I got from Joanna at the train station. I love the colors and her thinking expression. Now, as a little update regarding what is next on the channel, I've got 1 or 2 trips planned to some beautiful locations in Portugal. It has been non-stopping rain for more than 2 weeks now, which has me literally locked at home editing and doing some darkroom stuff. Speaking of darkroom, I've also bought a new enlarger that will allow me to go bigger and do better. You can expect some new videos in the darkroom, as well as more color prints in my print shop. I really love printing. I've been doing it with a regular head and some color filters. It is a tedious but effective process. I'm looking forward to try this enlarger I just got with the color head, and I hope you come back to check on what images I can craft in the future. I'll see you around, stay safe, and go burn some film. Not literally though.